first magazine with the EAA Witness 2311 Match X. This is basically a Turkish Staccato XC clone. I've put about 10 rounds through it just to get the optic zeroed. Let's see how it does today. Welcome back. We are starting out 2025 with a brand new pistol from Holosun, and this could be an absolute game changer in the 2011 market. Your eyes are not deceiving you. This is literally a Staccato XC clone, and it comes in at a much lower price point. But put 100 rounds through it today, and it was not without issues. So we're going to go over the good, the bad, and the ugly with the Holosun EAA 2311 Match X. This pistol is ridiculously feature-rich for the price. Comes with 20 round and 17 round Checkmate 2011 magazines. It's got an integrated island barrel comp, just like a Staccato XC. You get the cuts in the slide, everything. Dude. This pistol could prove to disrupt the 2011 market. I do believe that. And the reason why is because it literally has all the same features as a Staccato XC, but at a quarter the price point. But like I said in the intro, it did come with some issues. As you can see here, my optic is very loose. Now, is that the gun's fault or is it my fault? That could definitely be my fault. This optic, this is the fourth gun it's been on, and I've used the same screws on every gun. I didn't use any blue Loctite when I put this on, but at the same time, the screw holes, they seem kind of loose when I screwed it in. So that might be an issue with, well, with the machining for the screw holes, or maybe I'm using the wrong screws for this gun. Unfortunately, that's not the only issue, and we're going to get into that when we get to the shooting portion of this video about how it performed. Now, when it does come to shooting it, it does shoot fast and flat thanks to this big island barrel comp actually. It's a very cool design, and it does literally come with all of the same features as the Staccato XC. But as you know, I have shot the Staccato XC. I did a video about it last summer, and I absolutely loved that gun. But the Staccato XC was also 100% reliable when I had it, and this has not been. I put 100 rounds through it today. Now, it was the first 100 rounds that went through this pistol, and I will be the first to admit that I do understand that 1911s, and by extension 2011s, can have a break-in period. This Springfield right here, when I bought this, I couldn't get through a whole mag without some kind of failure. And now it's been perfectly reliable for at least the last 1,000 rounds or more. I haven't had a single issue with it in probably 2 years. I'm hoping the same can be said for this, but we're gonna get all into it. We're gonna go up close and we're gonna look at all of the features and all the details of this gun because it's pretty impressive what you get for the money. But then we're going to talk about shooting it as well, about the recoil, the accuracy, and also the reliability, where I did unfortunately have a few issues. So if you want to go on this journey with me, we're going to test this gun extensively. We're going to do the same thing that I did with my Prodigy, where we're going to document the first 1,000 rounds in a series of videos. And we're going to see if this gun really can compete way above its price point. Now, as I tighten my optic screws back down, we're going to talk about something that definitely competes above its price point, and that is the sponsor of this video, which is Aura. Aura has been the main sponsor of the channel for quite a while now, and for good reason. It's a product that I use myself and that I trust. I trust it because, well, because I've seen the results. In the first couple of days after I got Aura, I got a list of all of the data brokers online that had my information and that were selling my information to scammers and spammers and anybody else. And they submitted opt-out requests to those data brokers, and I stopped getting scam calls and I stopped getting spam calls. And those were things that I was getting regularly. And if you live in this century, in this same timeline, you're probably getting those things regularly as well if you don't have a service like Aura. They do all of your online security and they package it all together. And that's what I meant when I said at the beginning of this little ad segment here that it punches above its price point. For only $12 a month, you get a whole multitude of online security services that normally you would pay for all of them separately. Well, you get them all packaged together at a very good price. But if you use my link down below, first link in the description, you can try it out and see if it's worth keeping. And you get to use it for 2 weeks, 14 days, absolutely free with my link. First link in the description. That's aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. And that is the best way to support Sawtooth Tactical. The more people that sign up for Aura, the more guns like this I'll be able to afford to get, to test out on the channel and let you guys know if they're worth you spending your hard-earned money on or not. So again, first link in the description, aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. So what is the EAA 2311 Match X? Well, the 2011 is trademarked by Staccato. So the only pistols that are technically 2011s are Staccatos. So this is a double stack 1911, but it's the same form factor as a 2011, being a 3-piece system with, slide and barrel, top end, a frame, and then a separate grip module, which makes it modular. And 2011s are very modular. I've had a lot of work done to my Springfield Prodigy, and that's one of the really cool things about them is you can make them whatever you want. They're kind of like Glocks or ARs in that way. But compared to Glocks, 2011s they're just better shooting guns. I absolutely love 2011s. They're my favorite guns. And so when I saw this at my local gun store, Guffey's Gun and Pawn, I just had to get it. Now, I took a look at it and the thing feels really good. The slide moves extremely smoothly. The slide to frame fit is very tight. The trigger comes in at a crisp 3.8 pounds, and it's a good 1911-2011 trigger. And it's got a ridiculous amount of features for the price. And the price is very good. I don't think I'm supposed to mention what the price is on YouTube anymore, but it's like 1,000 fun tickets, which is a lot less than the 4,500 fun tickets that you pay for a Staccato XC. But is it as good as a Staccato XC? We're going to talk about that. But take a look. So you get the same, window cuts in your slide as an XC. You get the same kind of island barrel comp. You get a trigger that is very good. It's not a 2-pound competition trigger, but it's also not a 5-pound trigger. It's kind of right at that sweet spot. You get an optics cut. Now this came with a rear sight on it, an adjustable rear sight, but I immediately took that off because it does an RMSC footprint cut. And I had this Holosun 4OK sitting around, so I did put that on it. I think eventually it'll probably get a Holosun EPS full size because that optic, well, it's a full-size optic for a full-size gun, but it does use the Holosun K, the RMSC footprint, so it will fit on this slide. Now, you do lose your rear sight with it. It doesn't have a plate system. So, pros and cons. You lose your rear sight when you use an optic, but you do get a direct mount, which I have had very good luck with direct mount optics over the years, and I've had issues with plate systems. So I think that is a good thing. Now, when we get into the issues, I did have an issue with my optic coming loose today. But again, that could have been my fault. Now, what else does it have as far as features? It has a polymer grip module that has really good texture. It's got like 20 lines per inch checkering on the front strap. and on the mainspring housing here. And it kind of has, you know, the original STI look, or like kind of a classic 1911 looking grip with a magwell already installed when it comes in the box. It's got a nice big beaver tail here, and the grip safety, well, it's kind of tight for my liking, to be quite honest. Both of my other 1911s, 2011s, the grip safeties are much easier to actuate, and I thought that might be an issue, but when I went out shooting today, wasn't an issue at all. Now, the thumb safety feels fantastic. It's ambidextrous, and it is very tight and positive, but easy to actuate. It's actually, honestly, much better than the original thumb safeties that came on my Prodigy, and the Prodigy cost more than this gun. Now, if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you know that I love the Prodigy. And so with the Prodigy, and especially with the issues that it had when it first came out, I documented the first 1,000 rounds that I put in this before I did any modifications to it. Now, it does have different parts in it now, but I did document all that, and it was perfectly reliable. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one, and it's already, unfortunately, not as reliable as the Prodigy. I did have some failures today, but to be 100% fair, I was using Prodigy magazines when I had the failures. So this comes with 20 round and 17 round Checkmate 2011 mags. And these are good magazines. I ran through a magazine, a 20 and a 17, plus some rounds to zero the gun, and had no issues. And then I tried running a 20 round Prodigy magazine, and that's when I started getting failures. Let's see if it'll run on Prodigy mags. This is a Springfield Prodigy 20 round magazine. See how it does. First failure. Doesn't seem to like the Prodigy magazines. Now, the failures I was getting were kind of interesting. So what was happening, and every one of them was pretty much the same thing, is that it didn't seem to fully eject the empty casing while it did chamber around. And so I would end up having a round chambered and on the extractor and a spent casing in there at the same time. That happened 3 times, and there was like twice where it didn't go fully into battery and I had to kind of smack it into battery. But that was all on the 20 round Prodigy magazine. Unfortunately, after that, I did get one failure with the 20 round Checkmate magazine. Now, is this just a break-in period thing? It could possibly be. So I was probably about 60 rounds in when I got those failures. And again, they were with magazines that it didn't come with. Although, should be completely compatible with. They are 2011 pattern magazines, the Prodigy mags. These Checkmate mags seem to be more reliable in it, and they are the magazines that came with the gun. Makes sense, right? So it ran perfectly with the mags that it came with, but it doesn't seem to like this 20 round Prodigy magazine. See if we can get through the rest of it. I did clean and oil this gun before I took it out shooting today. But again, to be completely fair, it was also very cold out there. We've had like a 2-week cold snap here. It was in the teens today, as far as like 16 degrees out when I went shooting. So that could have had something to do with it too. Although I live in Idaho, I shoot all winter. None of my other guns have issues in those temperatures. So I'm not really going to give it that one. What I am going to give it is this. You get a ton of features for the money with this thing. I almost expected it to possibly have reliability issues in its first range trip out. I feel like I almost don't even know how they can make a gun like this at that price point, considering that things like the Staccato XC or the Nighthawk Custom TRS Comp or the Sandhawk, other guns that have this style of barrel in this form factor all cost in the 5,000 and 6,000 fun tickets territory, and this one comes in around 1,000. But let's take a look up close and see this thing and all the features that it has, because it is very impressive. All right, we're gonna do a little unboxing here, because even this is pretty impressive for the price point. I mean, you don't get a case like this even with the Staccato. So this is a waterproof case. It is like an airline compatible case. You can put a lock on this and travel with it. And in the case, you get, again, a 20 and a 17 round Checkmate 2011 magazine. And these are very nice magazines. You also get the pistol. And the foam that it comes with is already cut out for an optic, which is pretty sweet. Now in here, I put this, I mean, if you want to pin your grip safety the ghetto way, you can wrap this around here and not have to worry about your grip safety. And then this is the adjustable rear sight that I immediately removed because I am an optics guy. I also do have a Surefire X300 on the way for this. I know I love the Streamlight TLR1 HL and I have it on most of my pistols, but it doesn't look right on a full-size 2011 with a full dust cover Picatinny rail. Surefire X300 is the only way to go to complete the aesthetic for this gun. Now, real quick, just in here, you do get a target that shows that they test fired it, and this is offhand, and this is the accuracy they got. And I did have good accuracy with it today, even with my optic coming completely loose. Now, I just did tighten it back down, but this optic was like moving around all over the place after I was done shooting. I don't really know when that came loose while I was out there, but I did notice that the shots that I missed were when I was shooting rapidly, so the optic was probably bouncing all over the place. When I was shooting slowly, when the optic probably had time to settle back to where it should be, I hit the target every time. So, you know, excuses, right? It does come with a takedown tool. I actually just discovered this literally this minute. When I took it apart to clean it, I made one of these out of a paper clip. Just realized I didn't need to do that. It also comes with an extra recoil spring. This is the heavy recoil spring. It has the light one in it. Now, is the light spring what caused my reliability issues today? I hope not, because I want to keep the light spring in. I like that smoothness. And then, of course, you get your gun lock that you'll probably never use, and a bore cleaning brush. Pretty sweet. But let's get this stuff out of the way and look at this pistol itself, because, God, this thing is pretty dang impressive. So, I am pretty sure that it's an aluminum frame because it feels very light compared to my Springfield Prodigy, which is my other 2011. Now, the big thing on this one is this comped barrel. And it is a one-piece machined comped barrel, and that comp does work. This thing shoots extremely flat and extremely fast very easily. Now, it doesn't have a big undercut in here like my Prodigy does, and so you can't get quite as high of a grip on it, but hasn't seemed to be an issue yet. And again, the modular nature of the 2011 design, you could put whatever grip module you want on here, and maybe we'll do that. This is a gun that is probably the perfect candidate to do a lot of customization to, and so eventually this might look totally different. We'll see. I don't want to keep comparing it to the Prodigy, but my Prodigy, I did, put all new internals, EGW in it, an Atlas safety, EGW, or an Atlas trigger, EGW thumb safeties and all that, and it made it a much better gun. And so maybe we'll do similar things to this, but the way it comes right now is already pretty sweet. Now you do get a fiber optic front sight, and again, the adjustable rear sight, which I removed to put an optic on it. It is RMSC footprint cut. Now, one thing that I like over the Prodigy is that it doesn't have that stupid window in the top of the barrel, which is, it's supposed to be a loaded chamber indicator, but all it really does is make your optic get dirty. You don't have to worry about that with this. That part is closed. It has windows in the slide to see into the barrel. I think that that is pretty cool. Not really sure what this finish is on it, but seems pretty solid so far. Polymer grip module that is extremely grippy, especially on the front and back strap. This thing does not move around in your hands. If you grip it tight, you're gonna have a great grip on it. Full length dust cover with a zillion Picatinny slots, so you can literally put anything you want on this thing. And it also has the same, checkering on your slide stop, slide release there that it does on the front and back strap. Now, the beaver tail grip safety is a little bit tight for my liking, but you know what? We're probably going to pull off this mainspring housing at some point and do a little bit of work on that sear spring, maybe a little less pressure on this, lighten up the trigger a little bit. We'll see, but I feel like this is a gun that would be a great gun to just to do some work on. And you know what? I am not afraid to take my guns apart and mess around with them. The machining on this thing seems really, really good. I mean, this is totally flush and smooth where the slide matches up to this barrel comp. And I mean, honestly, everything about it is really, really impressive. So this didn't really seem to like the 20 round Springfield Prodigy magazine. So we can go back to the Checkmate magazines it came with. We're within the first 100 rounds. 1911s, 2011s generally do have a break-in period. And technically I wasn't using the magazines it came with. So let's see how it does with the Checkmate mags again. So let's talk about shooting this thing. I've put 100 rounds through it so far, and we are going to document the first 1,000 rounds in a series of videos. So we're going to see if this gun, irons out its kinks a little bit, and if it becomes something very reliable, which I hope it does because shooting it is awesome. So it took me about 10 rounds to zero the optic. Part of the reason for that is what I usually do is I usually use a laser bore sight at home down my longest hallway in my house before I go out to the range so that I'm very close, and it makes the zeroing process a little bit quicker. Well, I tried to do that last night and I couldn't. The chamber in this gun is not as long as it is in any other 9mm gun that I've ever tried to bore sight. My laser bore sight would not drop all the way into the chamber, and so it was sitting out of battery about that far, which means that the barrel is tilted upward. So I did have to really do the full zeroing out at the range today. Now, it was pretty quick and easy to get it zeroed. I did it just offhand. I'm out there shooting in the snow this time of year. I set up a piece of cardboard, get a shot a little bit low and left, just 2 clicks right, 4 clicks up, get a little closer, just a couple more clicks, and eventually I was right on. And at the very end of my range session today, I had 1 round left. It was one that was lying on the ground that I'd cleared out of one of the malfunctions. And I shot that at about 35 yards, and that was with the optic totally loose at that point, and hit the target very easily. So the thing is accurate, and it shoots very fast, like a 2011 should. It's got a pretty light, very crisp, very fast trigger with a good reset. Yeah, trigger is pretty dang good on this thing, as it should be for a 1911, for a 2011. And the comp absolutely works. The thing shoots very flat. In fact, after shooting the Staccato XC last year and shooting a bunch of other comped guns in this last year, this comp works as well as any other comp I've used. Really better than most of them. Shoots, about like a Staccato XC. Now, the glaringly obvious issue here, the reliability on day one. 3 failures, so that means that it is 97% reliable because we've put 100 rounds through it. 97% reliable is not acceptable. It's already had more failures than my Prodigy has in its whole life, and that it has at least over 2,000 rounds on it. And this had more issues in the first 100 rounds. Now, will those issues clear up? Are those issues something that I can do something about? I'm sure they are, because I've had guns that have had reliability issues in the past, and I've been able to fix every one of them. This 1911 had a lot of issues. In fact, when I bought it, I was really disappointed with it because I couldn't even get it through a full mag without some kind of malfunction, and it's perfectly reliable now. We're going to get this thing perfectly reliable too. And the cool thing about a 2011 is that you can switch out any parts you want, and you can tune the absolute hell out of it. The machining on the gun itself is really good. And so if I have to even, maybe we'll put EGW parts in it like we did with the Prodigy. But I don't think we're going to have to. I think I'm going to do a little sear spring tuning. And I think I'm just going to keep shooting the hell out of it. And I'm hoping that that's all it'll take to make it perfectly reliable. I'm also going to be running the mags that it came with. I did kind of do it dirty today by running mags that it didn't come with in it. But I wanted to see if it would work with my Prodigy mags, because I already have a bunch of Prodigy mags, so that would be nice if it did. So was the issue mag related? Was it ammo related? Or was it gun related? Well, I have a good reason to believe it's mag related. I also have a reason to believe it could be possibly, at least partially, ammo related. So the ammo that I've been shooting, that I have stockpiled a bunch of, is 124 grain MagTech. And I saw somewhere that 2011s specifically don't like that 124 grain MagTech. I don't know if that's true or not, because I haven't shot the Prodigy in a while. I've been doing a lot of other videos. But, you know, I did have those 3 issues today. Now, generally, I feel like 2011s do like 124 grain ammo, which is why that's what I shot in it today. But we'll test it with some 115s. It does seem to feed hollow points actually more reliably than my Prodigy does, so that's a good thing. The Prodigy, I had to find specific hollow point ammo that would reliably feed off the first, you know, when you rack the slide, and that was Spear Gold Dots. Well, this one reliably did that, again, to be fair, with the same Spear Gold Dots, so maybe they're both just as reliable as far as that goes. So we have had 3 malfunctions now, but it does shoot fast and flat. I got 1 round left. Let's go for some distance. Easy. Can I recommend this gun? Well, we're only 100 rounds into it, so it's hard for me to give it a stamp of approval or of a stamp of denial at this point. All I can do is show you guys what happened. We did have those 3 failures to eject, where it kind of had a live round and a spent casing stuck in the ejection port there at the same time. That happened 3 times today. Twice with the 20 round Prodigy mag, and once with this 20 round Checkmate mag. Also twice, I had to hit it back into battery. So technically, that's 5 malfunctions in the first 100 rounds. Now, everybody kind of does know 1911s, 2011s generally do need a break-in period, but they don't all need a break-in period. This Prodigy didn't need a break-in period. It ran perfectly from day 1. Hopefully, that's all this is a break-in period, and we're just going to keep shooting it, and we're going to find out. And if the problems persist, then we're going to do something about them. If the problems just go away, then I will let you guys know. Well, I'm going to let you know either way, because I am going to just keep running freaking rounds through this thing, and I'm going to keep doing videos on it, at least until we get to 1,000 rounds, to see if it is worth it, if it is a good buy or not. I risked 1,000 fun tickets on this because I wanted to be able to show you guys if it was worth getting or not. All of my pistols are American made, except for this one. This is the first Turkish pistol I've ever bought, but when I saw that you could get what is basically the same thing as a Staccato XC at a much, much lower price point, I thought that it was worth spending the money to be able to put it on the channel and test it and see if it was worth it. Because if it is, this might be a great thing for people that want to get into a 2011 with high-end features, but they don't want to spend Staccato XC money. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Let me know down in the comments if you have experience with TSOS, Gearson, EAA, any of the Turcatos of the Turkish double stack 1911s, and especially if you've got experience with this one, although it did just come out. As far as I know, the only other video on YouTube about it yet is from Skip's Guns, which coincidentally, he is the one that did the first work on my Prodigy, and I do appreciate him. He had a really great experience with this. So that was part of the reason I went out and bought it. But let me know what you guys think about these Turcatos down in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.